Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Rhino water, death is sign, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real, monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is SunPheonyx, and I'm back here today, all by myself, apparently. No, that's not true. That's never true. I'm joined, of course, by NaoriMizuki once again. Welcome.
Hi there. I thought I disconnected or something, and everyone was like, it's the Sun solo cast stream. And I'm like, but I'm here.
It's what you've all been asking for, just me all by myself.
Sun being his big old Mimi self. No, I am in fact here. Sorry to burst his bubble. And very happy to be joining you on this broadcast between two teams that are both undefeated.
Undefeated in every sense of the word. In fact, ATK has only dropped one map this year, basically, against 2CP in the RMG, their final match of the group stage. And Snorlax Gaming, I don't think I've dropped a map to anybody. So somebody today is going to go home very sad, but it should be a super fun and explosive matchup. So before we jump to the teams and the specifics of that, we're quite familiar with the hero pools this week already. We've seen quite a few matches happen already. But why don't you run us through them again one more time?
So, hero bans, Orisa, that very stable, not very mobile main tank, but she can do a ton of damage, and Fortify is kind of busted. And then, of course, for the DPS, we have Mei and Tracer. Mei, one of the most annoying DPS in the game at the moment, just because of how well she can freeze everyone out. And, of course, Tracer, just as annoying for being that little fly on the wall, buzzing around and getting all those cleanup kills. And finally, Moira will be unplayable. And again, another massive blow for any teams that enjoy that kind of brawl-heavy composition, and a massive blow to anyone coming up against the spam composition.
A fairly impactful hero pool, it has to be said, but not the most impactful hero pool we've ever seen. I think when you see heroes like Reinhardt out of the pool and some of the more meta-defining heroes, they can be a little more impactful. But I think the Mei especially is going to be a big one that the teams are going to be missing this week. So hero pools out of the way, let's talk about our teams. This is the meat of the story. This is why we're here today. Why don't you start us off with ATK and run through their roster?
All right, so ATK, everybody's familiar with ATK at this point. They have been absolute bastions in the Overwatch scene in the last 2 years. And their roster has had a couple of swap-ups over the last 2 years. But their current form, we got Bandit, Dizzy, 20, Sponge, Lazy, and Squishy. And those are all names that you should be familiar with from various teams, some that have been shipped over. Some of them you may know from the South African World Cup team, all of them powerhouses in their own right.
Absolutely. The scariest roster in South Africa right now, or at least that's what we think until we see the result from today's match. Then we'll know for sure who the scariest roster is. But this one, if you watched our game on Wednesday, I think it was, the RMG Grand Finals, this team dominated 2CP. They made them look like amateurs, and 2CP is a great team. So that is
absolutely
super scary. It was scary to watch them play. Super clean, super fast, super mechanically gifted, as you'd expect. But also super fly, but also super clever, which is the scariest part for me. But moving on to Snorlax Gaming, a roster we're less familiar with, at least if we look at the names. I'm going to hold my tongue for now. But anyways, looking at this roster, we've got Kuma on main tank, Beepo on the off tank, Bimbo playing the 1 DPS, Wrath or Wrath. We're going to go with the Wrath today because we're trying to shift off the yoke of our colonial emperor. Lil Newt on the support, and Wayne Train, of course, Visions, bringing in that main support in all likelihood. So a pretty stacked roster in its own right. There's some secrets under the hood here that I cannot reveal to you. I've been sworn to a vow of secrecy, and it makes me so friggin' mad. But it doesn't matter. All that matters is that this roster is stacked, and they're going to put on a real good show today. So excited to see how this one plays on. Looks our first map is going to be Nepal here, Naori. Tell us what you think we're going to see here, or who do you think this favors, if anyone?
Well, that's a difficult one to say. Now, Nepal is another one of those maps where you really can run a variety of different compositions. And our very first one here, this could be an interesting one. Now, this is a particular map where we tend to see a little bit more of that brawl style. There are a couple of high grounds that you can try to abuse if you want to go for something a little bit more divey. Okay. It seems there was a little bit of a mix-up in the lobby settings. So we're going to yeet that back to lobby.
Not up to date, so we're just going to fix that quickly. It shouldn't take but a moment. But yeah, so the first map now changes. So
yeah, so just
we'll have to wait.
You know what? Thankfully, I didn't get too deep into that one because then I really would have been sad. But again, Nepal, 3 very different points that favor very different compositions. Of course, you have one map that Sanctum, in fact, that has a nice little hole in around the edge of the point, and it's very famous for booping people around the place, and that's where we tend to see a little bit of that Lucio, a little bit of that Wrecking Ball, a little bit of that Pharaoh. We in fact saw it on Thursday as well in that last matchup that we did get to broadcast. So definitely teams like to play around that a little bit, and it favors more brawly type compositions mostly, or brawl or poke. Less so dive, because you don't really have a ton of high grounds to play with. Yeah. Poke, in fact, can get a lot of value on this map if you stand at range and try and just do tons of damage into the enemy team before they have an opportunity to set up. That can really stand you well in your stead. And as we move over onto the other 2 maps, again, a little bit more towards brawl, a little bit more towards poke as well, less so for the dive. Both of them have high grounds that you can take advantage of, but we tend to see a little bit more favor towards crossfires, running things like Farah Hanzo to try and stop teams from being able to maneuver, or we see that Reinhardt Zarya with some more flanky type heroes. Maybe we'll see the Sombra come out, or possibly just more of that double sniper, right? The Ashe and the Hanzo have been so powerful when run in tandem that I think we might see that get a little bit more playtime.
We could, well, and neither of the snipers or none of the snipers banned this week. We've seen them hit quite hard by hero bans, actually. A lot of the weeks we see Widowmaker? Nice. Widowmaker taken out of the hero pool, even though it feels like she doesn't actually get that much play. So I think with the new way that hero pools have been updated, we might see less of those sort of almost random feeling bans that favor the top Grandmaster players, but the Overwatch League isn't really playing. So hero bans have changed, and I think we'll see a lot more of those snipers in the mix, and both in the mix this game. We do have 20 in the game, so you'd think you'd be pretty favored towards seeing a lot of those hit scans, especially the Widowmaker, the Ashe, that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even his McCree is terrifying. He's known as the head clicker in the South African scene. He has made a name for himself over quite a few years. In fact, one of those kind of household South African Overwatch names. But first up, we're going to be here, and this is particularly one of those maps where you see a lot of that crossfire. I kind of mentioned that Hanzo Farah composition, and that's really great for forcing the enemy team into unfavorable rotations or forcing them into small enclosed areas where you can start to get value. If you can trap them on the point, May used to be perfect for this because the chokes were so fantastic, but again, no May this time around. So curious to see what the teams are going to try and pull out of their hats now that they don't have that available to them. Looking over at ATK, looks like they're going to be running the Torbjorn and the Symmetra. Now, the Symmetra could be a legitimate pick, or it could just be to get out of spawn. Yeah. But they do have the Lucio, so I'm kind of leaning towards legitimate pick here.
It could well be, and I think it makes a lot of sense on this point. You can get really good value out of the teleporter, obviously move around the map quite quickly and abuse the high ground quite nicely. And also the turrets, you can't sleep on those, you know. In this kind of enclosed point, they can get quite a bit of value on those. It should be interesting to see how they play out. Interesting to note as well that the off tanks, that was hilarious. They actually stepped back to go to use the teleporter. Probably not as much value as we need to get. But anyways, Lazy here on the Lucio, going to be pushing forward, just getting a bit of vision for his team, but bit of scouting and calling out here as they were immediately taken down though, finding that first kill. Beepo putting in the work for his team, and in fact Snorlax Gaming coming out of the box here all on fire, pushing ATK back. We might be in for a short one here if ATK don't pick it up after that one.
Oopsie, and I like the composition that they're running here. So I spoke about the Pharah Hanzo, but of course, now the more favored hero to play in the sky is Echo, as she's also that glass cannon type hero. We've seen quite a bit of her recently, and she can deal tons and tons of damage, but she is very easy to deal with, particularly without any sort of a pocket. And now we see 20 swapping over onto that McCree. They've spotted out the Echo, and they know they need to get her down.
Oh, and immediately he strikes, taking the Echo down. Wrath, feeling 20's Wrath, finding that pick on the McCree. As you said, you know, that's the hero you got to look out for, and immediately paying dividends. Bandit moves forward here, but immediately Shadow comes out from Kuma, pushing Bandit back, and after such a good start to the team fight, 2 dropping down early here for ATK, and they're going to have to move back as Snorlax still firmly in control as the clock ticks up to 40%.
Big misplay there from ATK. They were not expecting that Earth Shatter, and honestly, they should have been.
I info and I wasn't expecting.
Oh, it's really sad, eh? I mean, alt charge, alt tracking is super important. Not realizing that the enemy team does have that Earth Shatter up and ready to go is massive misplays. But we got a dragon coming out here from the defense, gets completely avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. No damage coming out from that pretty much. As Wrath gonna hide away a little bit, get some healing back up on the Echo here. But they're pushing forward now. That's a nano boost, yo. Sorry, a boost, yo. And that's not a good sign. That might be the opening ATK need, but that's gonna keep the 2 players alive. But they do get a cap on the point. So ATK playing on their own time now, and Snorlax have to make something happen here if they're gonna get forward here. Okay, here comes a lot of ultis out. Multiple Graviton Surge and the Sound Barrier committed here. Both teams committing a lot to this team fight, but so far so good for ATK. Remember, they flipped this point, so they're in control. So it's up to Snorlax here to make the difference. And 20 flicking all the way up. Rat taken down once again. He's had his number so far this game, and Snorlax in an awkward position now. Clock still ticking up for ATK here. Anti-heal onto Kuma, but the bubble going to purge that nicely. Bandit shield dropping low, but he's going to just trade a little bit here. Dizzy does have ultimate available. Let's see if he chooses to commit it here, but the nano boost, he gets stunned up, he gets dropped down, and D-Mech chooses also not to commit his ulti. ATK committing the nano boost, but not much else, and Bandit gonna buy his team a little bit more ult percentage here, but not much. It's Dizzy D-Mech. Yeah, he's gonna have to get taken down so he can't contest, but 73%. ATK do manage to work their way back up to 50, but Snorlax in control once again.
And Beepo already back up to another Graviton Surge, but the one in the last fight nicely countered by Sponge's Molten Core to deny space and deny anyone getting onto the point there. But a little bit of a misplay when we had 2 antied and nobody got pushed in on. They just allowed Snorlax to survive. Now ATK going to be moving in with 3 ultimates. They're going to have to make something happen with this.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a tough position here, scrambling a little bit as you see Bimbo on the angle here. Throws the dragons in, the Graviton Surge on the point. We heard it go down. We didn't see it, but you've got to assume it got a lot of value based on the kill feed as everybody from ATK hitting the deck, and Snorlax looking super dominant on this first point on Nepal.
Oh, Grav Dragon, it feels so nostalgic to see, and while it didn't actually get the picks, it did enough to lower H pools enough for the rest of the team to get tons and tons of value and completely clean up ATK. They were not expecting that. Now, as we move over to Sanctum, I'm kind of expecting some compositional swap-ups here from ATK, and already we can see 20 swapping over onto that Ashe, going to be trying to get lots of value with those dynamites because this map is far more enclosed, so you really can get some very big dynamites out. Sponge, looking to rock that Pharah. Not too sure if he is going to stick on that, but with Squishy on the Mercy, okay, dude. With the low ceilings, it does make sense.
He might have actually committed to that. Something we didn't mention as well. Oh, no, never mind. So Orisa not in the pool this week. This is also a map she's quite favored on, but with Bandit in the mix, you got to be feeling pretty comfortable on that ball pick if you're ATK, the best ball player in the world. Don't take my word for it because it's not even remotely true, but he is at least the best ball player in South Africa in all likelihood, I think. So Both teams going to move forward here. Quite strange to see the Torbjorn run without any sort of shielding. The Ashe as well benefits quite a bit from a more static composition, but they're choosing to run the Ball Diva here with the more static DPS and immediately pays off. Trades going both ways. Turret for Snorlax picked up, but Dizzy with the much bigger pick onto Kumo, and with the follow-up 20 killing Bimbo there on the Hanzo. You've got to be thinking ATK feeling pretty good about this team fight anyhow. They get the first cap, so a much better start here than they got on the previous point.
Yeah, and that Torbjorn actually is fantastic for helping to deal with that dive composition, because that turret, as soon as you dive, turret is ready and waiting. It's got an auto aim and an auto lock, and it is waiting for you to come around the corner. It's going to force Snorlax to have to rotate around. You know what? I'm trying to roll with it. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I should just go with it, eh? First rule of improv.
So
Never say no as ATK. Bending nicely here, Wrath on the Echo pushing forward for Snorlax Gaming, trying to find an angle here. He's copping a lot of damage every time he peeks though. That turret, like you said, locking on, but finally dealt with. Now Kumo chooses to go forward. You've got to be thinking that turret is the win condition there, but Wrath comes in and gets 20 down. His countered effectively, but Squishy gonna counter that with the resurrection, and Kumo gonna end his life all by himself. Bounces his way back into the mines from Bandit, and that you'd have to think spells the end of this fight for Snorlax. 20 finds Bimbo once again, or Rat, sorry, on the Echo, and yeah, it's going to be clean up now. That Brigitte, the last to fall, but ATK looking much better on this point.
ATK finally realizing they need to up their game a little bit. They possibly came into this underestimating Snorlax, and they have paid for it on that first map, but they don't seem to want to make that same mistake. Now, coming into this next fight, 5 ultimates online just about for ATK. They are looking so good on this defense, and they're going to have a Bob soon to help contest, so they really can play from range here.
Absolutely, getting aggressive now. Wayne Train on the Brigitte, swinging away. Turret goes down once again. Kumo goes down. Just as well as the turret there, but he straight into the hole, all by his lonesome, according to the kill feed. Bimbo does find a pick onto Bandit, so that pesky ball out of the way, but with 20 getting a pick once again, he finds another onto Bandit. Dizzy on the point here with the self-destruct, but he might not even commit it, because 20 just decided he's going to win the game all by himself with Squishy at his back. The mercy damage boost making the difference once again, and 20 the aim to make it all matter. Lazy pops the self-destruct, or the barrier on the point, the sound barrier, and 20 picks up his 5th or 4th or whatever of this team fight. He's just taking matters into his own hands, cleaning up Snorlax like they're not even alive, and they really aren't when 20's in the game. As Bandit finds the pick onto Kumo. It's just stall now. The duplicate, onto the enemy Diva. Gonna mean Wrath might able to get some more value out of the self-destruct, but with Bob flying in there, it's gonna make short work of little loot there on the Lucio. As Bandit drops the mines down, finds 2, finds the Echo duplicate as well, and with that, ATK secure a even more dominant performance on Sanctum here, Naori.
I mean, you gotta realize that Wrecking Ball's mines are super powerful on that point, because it is such a small point, and the fact that it's got that dip just around the side means that it's so difficult to try and avoid those mines and still try to create some kind of contest on the point. So running the Wrecking Ball on that point, always an excellent decision. And of course, as you mentioned, Bandit, one of the best ball players in the country at the moment, played it to fantastic efficacy. Now, moving on over to our last map here on Nepal. And this was going to be our first map before we had to swap it all around. Yeah. And these teams looking for that brawly kind of composition. In fact, we've got Sponge on that Doomfist, really wanting to get in there and cause some chaos. 20 with the Reaper as well. But something a little bit more pokey from Snorlax at the moment.
Yeah, flip the script almost with the Kree Torbjorn on Snorlax here. All punch goes through from Sponge. He doesn't find what he's looking for. It's stunned up for his trouble, but won't hit the deck just yet. In fact, 20 putting in the damage takes Kumo down once again. He's been dropping early in all of his team fights, but with the return onto Sponge, courtesy of that turret and Wrath, looks like they're going to even things up, but positioning favoring ATK here. Snorlax just going to back out and reset.
Snorlax playing this a little bit too defensively. They rush in and then they kind of stall out at the choke. They need to actually make something happen. They have got a Torb on the flank though. Maybe he can make something with that turret, but it's Bimbo that'll get the first pick.
Yeah, Bimbo striking first here. Nice and early. Finds a second. Main support and main tank taken down courtesy of the American Outlaw. And now he's just raining in damage. And now Wrath pushing in two of his own. The fifth courtesy of Bimbo. Make it 6 for the DPS. That's how you play the game, ladies and gentlemen.
You kill the enemy team. That's how you play the game. I had no idea.
As DPS, that's how you play the game. You make sure that all the kill feed is filled with your name.
Exactly, and they've done that to great effectiveness. Wrath sitting on 89% to a Molten Core, which is going to be great for some space denial. But Lazy does have the sound barrier to try to counter it. They will need to be aware of that Deadeye, though.
Ooh, Molten Core getting sucked up here by ThePeachZA, the defense matrix coming in. Andy Sponge getting aggressive. Speaking of Andy, but taken down again. Bimbo coming in handy for his own team here. Snorlax relying quite heavily on the McCree player, but if he's going to contribute like this, then I think you'd be perfectly happy with that. And now finding Lazy on the back line there. ATK gonna go well, picks up his third. Finally someone different contributing to the kill feed. Here's a Wayne Train. It's a boot kill onto ThePeachZA, and that's a hammer kill, ladies and gentlemen. Squishy. He's not gonna live that one down anytime soon. But ATK striving here on the last point of Nepal.
Sponge needs to make the swap. He's running a divey hero into a McCree and a Torbjorn. He is going to get destroyed time and time again, and that's exactly what's happening. He does have the Meteor Strike, though, so possibly going to be looking to try and get a pick off with that before he makes any sort of a swap up. 20 also sitting on the Death Blossom, which could prove monumental. And Wayne Train, no sound barrier in sight, so there could be a ton of value out of this.
Yeah, far away from that sound barrier. In fact, committed it quite recently. 20 dropping low.
My goodness.
To get built up, and now moving forward with that Death Blossom. Let's see when he chooses to commit it. Beepo is on the Zarya, so no Diva makes it. That's a huge shatter. Everyone lying on their back, and 20 gonna sprint to win to clean it all up. He gets taken down by Bimbo, but it's too little too late as ATK have already secured the majority of the kills. ThePeachZA gonna pick up a cheeky kill, a stolen kill, it has to be said, onto one with the melee. But doesn't matter to ATK as they secure that team fight finally.
And Sponge finally makes that swap off, realizing that the Doom is not going to work. So now we have another Torbjorn on the playing field, where she's sitting on a nano boost as well. So they are poised to try and hold on to this point here. Beepo getting up to another Graviton Surge. Previous one actually got eaten, but they still managed to win the fight. If you can get value out of this one, then they might be able to win the fight this time around.
I think you're right. That could be the key to this next team fight. That nano boost might be a key in the opposite direction. In fact, this Kumo gets taken down right off the bat, but Snorlax heads up players. They back up straight away. The nano boost is committed, and they've decided they won't commit in turn.
Actually, fantastic play there. Kumo goes down. They don't have their main tank, and the enemy main tank is nano boosted. Pull back. Don't give unnecessary ult charge. Regroup and come back as a full team. They have a little bit of time, but not a lot. They do, however, have 5 ultimates to play with.
Oh man, that's a scary team fight to have to take. Lazy does have the sound barrier, probably the best one you could hope for if you have to pick one ulti to have and respond. Or does he not able to eat that one up? Beepo dropping the Graviton Surge here. Oh, that looks like a lot of damage, but actually not finding anything. But he does eventually get the pick, courtesy of Beepo rather, onto ThePeachZA's mech. So the Diva won't be able to contribute quite as much as he'd like here. But Wrath on the point. In fact, ATK dropping like flies here as 20 gets the return kill, but it's not nearly enough as Wrath picks up 2 on the back here. ATK going to be hard pressed to get in here again.
All 5 ultimates committed there from Snorlax. Now ATK needs to try and re-contest. Bandit 94% to an Earth Shatter, but somebody needs to touch as the time is slowly ticking away.
Yeah, absolutely. And touch does come in courtesy of Bandit on the ball. So, or rather, ThePeachZA on the ball here. Bandit with the shatter gets dropped down. He finds a pick with the fire strike onto Rat. That could be huge. Now swinging with the nano boost. ATK with their backs against the wall come out swinging. Bandit specifically with the nano boost, and it looks like they're going to secure the first map here on Nepal. But Naori, we are in for a slugfest this evening.
Really great turnaround there from ATK in that very last fight. They knew that they had a couple of ultimates to play with, and Snorlax had thrown 5 ultimates into the fight before. It meant that ATK knew they had absolutely nothing to deal with what they were going to come in with for the next fight. And that's a little bit of a misplay from Snorlax. I understood, it's overtime. You feel like you got to throw absolutely everything into this so that you can hold, or so that you can recapture the point. But then what happens when it comes time to maintain control of the point? And I'll tell you what happens. A Molten Core comes out and Bandit starts swinging. And just like that, they lost that point, and ATK managed to shoot through and win that third map of Nepal. And that brings our scoreline up to a 1-0. You are absolutely right. This is going to be a slugfest.
I'm excited to see how this one plays out. But ladies and gentlemen, that won't be happening here. We'll still be taking you through it. Don't you worry about that. But we will be moving over onto the ATK channel where we're meant to start. But due to some scheduling conflicts, unfortunately, we've started here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 1 second, probably. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this ATK Overwatch tournament matchup Elite Division. So far, it's been a banger. We're only one map in, but before we carry on, guys, we have just moved over to the ATK channel, and there's a reason for that, amongst other things. It's also, of course, towards the Kidney for Shaz fundraiser that's going on. Of course, Shaz, an ATK CSGO player who suffered from lupus from a very young age. It's caused kidney failure. Very disheartening condition, of course, and very difficult to deal with that. So towards dealing with that, or helping deal with that, ATK have started this fundraising promotion. They're aiming for 100K, and at 8 o'clock when we started broadcasting earlier, it had been already up to 86,000 Rand. So that is awesome donations to see, and keep donating. The donation will be open, I believe, until the end of the week. So you guys are at the end of next week. So you guys should be able to donate until then. There'll be a few more straggling streams available, but this is the last one of the kind of main streaming platforms. So please, guys, get your donations in for a good cause. Should be a lot of fun. Sorry, it's a really nice cause. So please donate if you can.
Yeah, just bearing in mind the donations go towards helping with medical funds, dialysis, things like that. And then, of course, should a kidney donor become available, it will also go towards helping with the operation. So this, as Sun pointed out, a amazing, wonderful cause, and also for raising awareness. For those that don't know, the waiting list in South Africa for a kidney is 5 to 10 years, and Shaz has already been waiting for 4. So anybody out there who's not an organ donor, I implore you, I impeach you to please go do a little bit of research if you're interested. One person can save quite a few lives once you pass away if you donate your organs. So do take a look at that. I think it's also a worthy cause, and that's one of the other things we're doing here, raising awareness. So yeah, help us, open your wallets, open your hearts, and hopefully we can get this thing done.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to the matter directly at hand here, we've got ATK Overwatch versus Snorlax Gaming. These two teams on Nepal were slugging it out, batting it out. There's one map in and I can't even speak anymore. That's the kind of gameplay we're seeing on display here. And something you saw from Snorlax Gaming is quite a bit of discipline. Also a lot of mistakes from the main tank getting picked off quite aggressively on occasion. So it's something to be aware of, do you think, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's super important for your main tank to play aggressively if that's the play style that the team is taking, right? Your main tank is the leader of the charge, and the whole point of your tanks is to create space for your team. So he needs to be moving in, but you cannot be doing that too aggressively. You need to make sure that you're surviving. However, it's not all on the main tank. It's again on the rest of the team to keep him up so that he can do his job. Diva Matrix or Zarya Bubble, or if you're running, I don't know, Reinhardt Breaking Ball for whatever reason, cool. Then you're
They literally won the last map with, by the way.
Yeah, that was the stall pick. They brought out the Wrecking Ball for the stall.
It happens.
Okay, but anyway, point being, your off tank also has a very big job in making sure that you stay alive so that you can help enable the rest of your team. This is a team game. You all should be working together on that one. So yes, a little bit of missteps and misplays, but ATK doing fantastic work to see those mistakes and punish them as quickly as possible. That being said, it's still super even. I mean, it's not like Snorlax makes a mistake every 3 seconds and ATK capitalizes on that so hard that it's 100-0 every match. Snorlax Gaming still have some fantastic plays, and they are able to really push ATK to the edge.
Absolutely, but ATK in a position they've never really been in, where they're being pushed to the edge, like you say. Obviously, we saw them on Wednesday, going up against 2CP, as I mentioned earlier, and it was one-sided. ATK backs were never against the wall. They never had to grind it out or really pull from somewhere deep. But we saw on the power what they're capable of. Backs against the wall, going into the last team fight. You know, they have a slight ultimate advantage after getting dominated in the previous fight by 5 ultimates from Snorlax. But they pulled it out in a very, very high-pressure clutch situation. That could be key here in this match, and that might end up being the difference maker, in fact.
I mean, it's not just enough to be veteran players and to understand the game, and sure, they have some pretty decent teamwork, but there's so much more to it. And one of the biggest things that teams need to be looking at is how they utilize their ultimates. And you spoke about in the one fight where they had so many ultimates and they threw every single one of them into that fight, all 5 of them, to win out that fight. And as I mentioned at the end of it, yes, it's overtime. You want to win this point as quickly as possible, but even in those instances, you still need to be looking 1 or 2 steps ahead. It's almost like a game of chess. You have to know what resources you have available to you, and you have to think to yourself, what can the enemy team do once this fight is over? And what the enemy team did was they came in with 2 ultimates of their own. Sponge had the Molten Core. It had just popped up as they got to point. They threw that one out. Bandit managed to build up that Earth Shatter, and while it only got 2 people on their backs, it was enough because Snorlax had nothing to defend with. So now, as we move over onto our second map, this is definitely something that Snorlax is going to have to look into. Yes, you want to win out those fights. Yes, you need to use those resources to make it happen. But remember to always be thinking of what comes next.
Yeah, absolutely. But if anyone is going to be good at that, you'd have to look at visions and be like, he's the guy who's thinking 2 steps ahead of everybody else. So surprised to see him make that kind of error, if even it was down to that error. You know, obviously in Overwatch, as in any competitive endeavor, there's a bit of a give and take. There's a bit of a risk you take with every sort of interaction. And at that point, he's probably thinking 81% on the clock or whatever it was. We could probably force them into a fight they don't want to have to take, and we can force mistakes out of them. But ATK made no mistakes coming into that last team fight and secured themselves the map win. So, you know, maybe a bit of a tactical risk, but I think with the benefit of hindsight and obviously us looking over the top of everything we can see, with 5 ultis in the bank, you probably win that with 3. And then have the last 2 as a just in case, as a insurance policy. But that's not how they ended up going. But I don't think that's the kind of mistake we see out of Visions very often.
But I mean, we don't even know. Maybe the plan was, okay, we rush onto point, we use these 2 or 3 ultimates, and then in the heat of the moment, it's like, oh no, we're losing the fight. I better use my ultimate as well. And then at the end of the fight, everyone's going, why did you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
So you never know. It could have been a tactical error.
We shouldn't have committed this. We shouldn't have committed this.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? It's something that you look back on in VOD review, right? But for right now, unfortunately, it did cost them that map. And it's looking like our second map is going to be Blizzard World, which is surprising to say the least for our hybrid map. I mean, I think we were all probably expecting something more along the lines of like a Hollywood or a Numbani. Most people kind of hate Blizzard World, and it has been out of rotation for quite some time while Blizzard fixed some stuff. I don't know if they fixed anything. I guess we're going to find out now. That's going to be where we're headed. Right? I haven't seen anything. Like, they literally pulled it out and they were like, we're going to fix this map. And then a couple weeks later, they were like, here, have this map back. What have you done with it?
Oh, yeah, we forgot.
Here you go. just have it.
Have it back. It's just taking up space in our map storeroom next to Lunar Colony. But you're right. A very interesting choice. Snorlax. Of course, the map choice was down to them after dropping that first map. Obviously, just in case you guys aren't aware, Kings Row is not in the pool. So no team can pick Kings Row for the duration of stage 1 of the ATK Overwatch tournament. That was a decision made on purpose so that we could see some different hybrid maps. So we could see some things like Blizzard World, which should be a lot of fun. Now, Blizzard also on this map, it's very easy to get stuck like any hybrid map. But I think this one in particular, it's very easy to get stuck on that first point. So do you think the team's going to be able to navigate that successfully, or do you think we're going to see a couple of full holes here?
I I'm not expecting full holds from either of these teams. I think both of them are way too aggressive, and I think that they will be able to find chinks in the enemy team armor. I'm kind of expecting possibly 3 full pushes here. But as you mentioned, this first point, particularly on Blizzard World, I think that this is one of the hybrid maps with one of the most difficult first points to push, just based on the geometry and the geography of the map, to try and navigate so many high grounds and statues and buildings, and there's just so much between you and the point. It is very difficult to push onto, and that can definitely favor the defending team. And having a look at these compositions, ATK are going to be rolling out with that Ashe, kind of standard on Blizzard World, and there's that Torbjorn once again, and Sponge did get quite a lot of value on that, and they're going to be able to create a nice little crossfire here from different angles, and rolling with the Batiste this time around. Again, some fantastic healing, and also going to be able to use that immortality field to try and negate a ton of damage. Going to need to be careful though, because it's looking like McCree Reaper rolling out of the gate here, and that is a lot of damage to try and heal through.
Yeah, but actually quite a decent response, at least in terms of blind counters from ATK. They don't need to fight up close and personal. They've got the Ashe and the Torben who can rain damage from a distance. So the kind of brawl that they're coming out here with the Reaper and the Reaper, and the Reinhardt, etc., it's not going to get as much value as it might against a comp that also wants to match them on that. So it should be quite interesting to see this. Also, Torbjorn, a hero we never saw for 100 years, didn't get changed at all, and now he's like a meta pick where he gets picked every game. That's just the nature of hero pools. It kind of illuminated some new picks that people weren't respecting, and then they were forced to pick them, and now they understand the greatness of the Swedish key unknown. So pushing forward here, Kumo on the Reinhardt. Snorlax Gaming just going to take the high ground away here, get that turret dealt with, allow them a little bit more space to move around. Sponge going to place another one down in short order, I'm sure, but so far just a bit of a positional ballet here. Neither team coming to anything, but 20, okay, charging his ball up super quick, throws that in, and Sponge finds the first pick onto Visions there with the turret, and with the follow-up onto Kuma once again. To see the micro missiles going to secure that. Okay, kill comes in the other direction, but ATK, I think, firmly in control of this team fight. But with the spawn advantage, oh no, Lazy going to undo all the hard work Snorlax accomplished there by rezzing 20 back up to fighting shape.
So the issue with running this brawl type composition into this little pokey composition is that the poke in a certain sense has an advantage, because the brawl composition needs to run into them. And ATK, I mean, when you're running a team that just kind of chills on the point and waits for the team to rush into them, yes, the poke is going to lose. But ATK know how to rotate and how to contest point without allowing the brawl composition to get the maximum value, and that's exactly what they've been doing. Snorlax need to find a way to make this rotation and to take advantage of the spawn, or rather of the brawl position they have.
20! With the immortality field! Oh my god, Squishy with the biggest brain immortality you'll ever see. Keeps his main DPS alive here, but there's a Nano Reaper in the backline. Now he's got a sound barrier on top of that, so you can't even kill. He's got 50% HP reduction and then another 100 HP on top of that, so he's not dying anytime soon. Bandit standing in the multi-core to send himself to the game as soon as possible, and Snorlax with an emphatic team fight victory there to grab first point.
So that's what we needed to see from Snorlax, going in hard and strong and aggressive. And 20, as much as he survived that, it definitely disoriented them a little bit, and they got pushed back into a corner, and then that's when that brawl composition starts to shine. And now they're pushing so far forward because they realize they do have this advantage. They're going to allow the cart to just roll a little bit, but make sure that ATK can't come in for a massive recontest just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to control that high ground as well. Snorlax Gaming here. ATK just going to bypass that entirely. Sure, they've got Squishy set up there, but that's the strength of the Baptiste. He can jump up and down there at will, so he won't get caught out there. High Noon comes out here. Didn't find anything. Bimbo on the high ground, dropping down now. Oh, surprisingly actually picked the Mercy there. Just like shielding him away, and now the teams have swapped around. Sponge, in fact, finds the first kill onto Kumo. If I didn't know how Overwatch worked, I wouldn't know who's attacking and who's defending here, but all I know is that Bob is getting the kills in the kill feed, and 20 contributing with a lot of dynamic damage sources. Squishy finds a double on the end of that to secure the team fight victory for ATK.
Nice defensive hold here from ATK. Again, some really good rotations, not allowing Snorlax to get the full value out of this brawl composition. But Snorlax are going to be coming into this next fight with 3 ultimates. They've got the self-destruct for some zoning, and they've got that Death Blossom to try and get some clutch picks. But they are running into an Earth Shatter, which could, well, it could be Earth Shattering.
20, man. Oh my god, Rock in the mix here with the spin to win the Reaper Beyblade. Yo, I haven't seen that since 2016 when the game was released. And when Nana was just put into the game, and Nana Boost gave you a speed boost as well, but he picked up 5 in that team fight. So yeah, Wrath putting on the team on his shoulders a little bit there.
Yeah, doing some fantastic work there, and they managed to win out that fight with just 2 ultimates, which is a massive boon for them. But ATK managed to hold on to a bunch of their ultimates here. Now they are going to have that Molten Core available for, again, that space denial. Started off with the Amplification Matrix.
Ooh,
oh no.
Self-destruct going in the back here. Does he find anything? Yes, he finds 20. In fact, Sponge, though, gets a kill in the opposite direction. So both teams playing a player short, but Lazy going to bring Sponge back up. But that Shatter might be enough to secure ATK the team fight win. Bandit once again coming in clutch for the blue squad here as he puts down 2 with that Shatter. Squishy going to follow up with a kill onto the Reaper, and we're going to see our first pause of the game here.
And what happened on that high ground there was actually, it was sad, but it was also hilarious. So we see Lazy and Squishy bunch up as Squishy drops down the immortality field to deal with that self-destruct, because that was looking really dangerous. And 20 uses the coach gun and boops himself away from the immortality field and goes down to the bomb. Oh, man.
I don't know how anybody uses the immortality field effectively, because I have never, ever committed it to my brain since the heroes added to the game that's even a thing that can happen. So people throw in the immortality field, and I'm like, I got to get away from whatever's doing damage to me. I can't just stand here.
I can't just stand. I panic because you can destroy the immortality field.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
okay, I still need to get away to safety, but unfortunately, out of the immortality field is not really safety, and it definitely wasn't for 20 as he did go down there. Got raised up. Lazy got killed in the crossfire because Wrath and Beepo flew up onto that high ground to deal with. I believe they were looking for Lazy because they knew the Mercy was up there. And then, of course, the race came through, so Mercy went down, and not too good, but ATK have already won this fight. It's actually just Beepo alive on the point, who's got a little bit of a stun, which means he's about to be demected. Not going to be too much help there.
Hopefully they get a nice stagger on him, though. I'm not quite sure where his teammates are.
Dead.
If they can, okay, so they
like literally look at all those grey faces. They dead.
Yeah, but I mean, if Lawrence and Bimbo are still in the mix, you might want to just kill the diva and clean up properly. But if he's the only one in the area, then stagger that dude straight forever.
Stagger that baby diva for the rest of her life, shame.
Yeah.
And we've seen some really nasty staggers with sleep darts and May freezes and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, the top guard is actually going to make it tough, I think, though.
Bimbo all the way back towards spawn. No, she's alive. Oh, they're just going to let him jump off the edge. You know what? It'd be like that. And that's a good stagger. Yeah, it's massive because the rest of the team is already kind of regrouped here towards the spawn side. So they now have to wait for Beepo to respawn. But he is back up. He is back in the game here. They got about a minute left. And all they really have to work with here is a Deadeye. They will have an Earth Shatter fairly soon. And, of course, that Nano Boost to try and tip them over the edge.
Ooh, speaking of the Deadeye, here it comes. Doesn't find anything, I believe. Does he block most of that with the defense matrix? Wrath on the Reaper. Actually finds the kill onto Bandit. There is shield dropping low. Gets taken down. Now tipping into the backline. Can he find anything? Sponge finds a kill onto Kuma, steps back into the Molten Core, and ball once again from 20, making the difference. If we had to pick a player of the match right now, Naori, I know who I'd be picking, but we're a long way from that, hopefully. Bob, exactly. Bob,
I don't know how we get Bob into the chat to get his side of the story, but you know what? I'm here for it. 22 seconds left on the clock here for Snorlax to try and make something happen. All they have is that Earth Shatter. Somebody's got to touch.
Somebody's got to touch. Whole team, in fact, touching, so that's not a concern right now. Sleep onto 20 here, taking a nap next to his main tank, but he should be safe. In fact, Squishy trying to pick up to Kuma once again, dropping early. The team taking cover from the Amplificatrix Matrix. Oh, Bandit dropping low here. He does have the Shatter. Should he choose to commit it, he might back up here, try and get a nice angle and then drop the Shatter, but he's getting pressured by Ralph, who dodges it nicely with the Wraith form, but he gets taken down, or rather, Beepo gets taken down there on the Diva, was demeked early in the team fight, and ATK gonna stamp their authority on Blizzard World here with a pretty emphatic, pretty emphatic second point hold. The Sponge finds the last pick onto Kumo, and ATK secure themselves a second point hold.
You talk about good angles, and that is exactly what we see between the Ashe, the Torbjorn, and the Torb turret. They create this triangle, this three-way damage machine, and it makes it so difficult for Snorlax to find a way onto point, because okay, everybody, we're gonna rotate this way. Oh, there's a turret there, let's go this way. Oh, there's a there, now we're on fire. You know, it makes it so difficult to find a way to get in. They need to find themselves that opening, and ATK just making it incredibly difficult for them. Now, however, on their own defense, they have an opportunity to try and return the favor a little bit. Curious to see. All right, there we go. So Crossfire, but this time it looks like they might just be running that with the Torbjorn as expected, and the Hanzo this time around. Stormbow can get a ton of damage out, and this is the cool thing. So Dynamite, you get a lot of AoE damage, but Stormbow is really good for breaking shields. The problem is, take a look at ATK's composition. Not a shield in sight. They're going for something a little bit more divey here, running that Sombra and 20 on the Widowmaker. And 20 is going to pop some heads. Bandit's going to boop them up in the sky to make it possible for 20 to click on those heads. And Sponge going to build up that EMP to try and create those openings we spoke about. Going to need to be careful, of course, for that Torb turret. It can catch him out and possibly alert the enemy team to his position.
Yeah, a lot of shield break actually on the side of Snorlax here with the Zenyatta and the Baptiste. But 20 making some decisions here. Okay, he's decided he's going to go for the Sombra here. They've switched it up, in fact. Sponge wants to play the Genji. Now, I read in chat yesterday when I was playing, I think it was Terranauto said, whenever you feel like playing Genji, just don't. So Sponge is going to prove to us that that's not true, and all you Genji mains out there can play this hero without any shame. Or he's going to die repeatedly and be the thing that proves the rule. So he's struggling here against the Torbjorn Tower. In fact, not even choosing to commit to it. In fact, almost going down straight away, but it's Squishy who gets that first pick onto Visions. Bandit now on the front line, looks for another pick, but no, not able to get that second support down just yet. Lilnu's going to get away with his life, but I don't think... Oh, yes, he will. Okay. Ruff just managing to sneak on out there with the Torbjorn Tower. The overload coming in handy there, and 20 finds the pick. Picks have gone both ways here. Sponge is struggling to get value out of the 60% ult charge, and he does go down, but I think ATK may just step down enough here, secure the first point of Blizzard World. Kumo's super low. He's going to back up here. He's getting healed, so I wonder if we want to see a recommit here from Snorlax Gaming here, but that hack going to prevent Diva from getting in there. Looks like they want to get forward, but I don't think they're going to make it. No, they're not. And now they're committed. A really nice boop from, well, I'm not quite sure who that was, but whoever it was,
me neither.
prevented Kumo from getting in and makes Snorlax look a little bit disjointed.
Snorlax, I don't know how they lost that. They had such good control of the space, and they just allowed ATK to reset, heal up, and re-engage. And they should have been taking advantage of how low their players were getting because of the turret and the crossfire that they were creating. A little bit unfortunate there for them. They lose that point in one fight, and now this payload is moving. It's moseying on across towards that golden block of victory. This dive composition is working out.
That's it. Now the EMP comes in over the top. Bandit with the mines, but Wrath has already got a double kill. Bimbo followed up with a third onto 20. So after all that committal, it looks like ATK had lost the fight before it had even started, but they're still committing this Sponge, getting aggressive here on the Genji once again. Not able to find anything, but does secure the last little bit of ult charge he needs to get that Dragon Blade up and running.
Oh man, the Molten Core had already been committed. They dropped the EMP, were hoping to try and capitalize on that, but the space denial was too huge from the Molten Core, and two people die running into it. That's super unfortunate, but ATK wasting no time, dashing straight in.
Absolutely not. Wayne Train hitting the deck straight away, and a nice follow-up here. The Dragon Blade committed from Sponge finds another, and it's just the Diva left. And remember, they don't have a long way to push here. It's going to be a bit of a scrambled defense now for Snorlax Gaming, I think.
Bimbo swapping over onto that Doomfist. He's going to try and recontest here. Not a lot of time to make it happen. Wayne Train also still alive on this Lucio. Going to be going for that recontest just to make sure the payload doesn't reach point.
Ooh, traded here. Support's going down both ways. Kumo commits the ultimate here, the Earth Shatter, but doesn't find anything. But Beepo over the top and a punch, or not the big punch, the small punch from Bimbo. Looking to the kill onto Lazy and Snorlax. 3 minutes on the clock here. Tough defense.
Okay, dude.
Okay, that was a blind punch. 20 was invisible. He just ESP'd that one, guessed it.
Warlax confirmed. Nah. There's like a detected thing. If you're close enough, it'll be like,
true.
So he did manage to get that one out of the way. Bimbo making that swap over back onto the Ash this time around. Somebody's taking a nap up on the high ground there. Unfortunate Wrath. And as you said, very difficult defense here with no ultimates to play with, and they're running into an EMP.
Oh, self-destruct bomb comes in, finds two, Dizzy moving in, and there's nobody on cart apparently, and ATK wins the second map with a bit of the anticlimactic ending there, but a nice EMP self-destruct combo, I think, zoning Snorlax off the point, and one person from ATK managed to nudge it into that yellow box of victory, so they'll be taking a win on Blizzard World here, and it's still looking pretty close, but ATK have seemed to have hit their stride now.
All I'm saying, that McCree was so close to touching point, but wasn't able to because he was EMP'd and he couldn't use his roll. He was so close.
It wasn't working, he got hacked and his biology wasn't quite working the same.
Yeah, I guess I gotta run, and that one didn't work out.
Waddle on in there, yeah.
Waddle on in, and just was not able to touch. Oh man, you hate to see it, but again, just a really fantastic fight between these two teams. But now you can really see where ATK shine and how aggressive they are. They did so well. They pushed their way onto that first point, and I stand by that they had no right to take that first point because Snorlax had a really good hold there. But again, we talk about Snorlax, the chinks in the armor, the few little mistakes that they make along the way, and how ATK are able to so effectively take advantage of that. And of course, ATK, a team that's been together for quite some time, as we've said, dominating the South African scene for the last couple of months now. It should come as no surprise that at this point, they're more or less prepared for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So still ATK with a 2-0 lead heading into map 3. But before we get there, we will just head into a 2-minute break, give the teams a chance to, recuperate, get mixed up. Did you just call me out for something?
No.
Okay. Oh, I'm like paranoid.
No, he's joking.
Now, you always like...
I didn't even say anything. It was Peach.
Anyways, guys, we'll be heading into a 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are back. Just a brief break to all catch our breath after the stellar Overwatch we've been seeing in our first 2 maps, just to bring you guys up to speed. This is the ATK Overwatch Tournament Elite Division, the top division, and we've got the 2 top teams displaying 2 top Overwatchers today. This has been a stellar match so far, but before we jump back into the swing of the match, just to remind you guys, this is, of course, in service of the Kidney for Shaz fundraising initiative, of course, initiated by ATK, trying to get to that 100,000 Rand towards a kidney for Shaz, or at least towards medical expenses and all of that until the transplant becomes available. As you mentioned earlier, the waiting list is quite long, no worries. So, of course, please, guys, donate if you can. Any donation is welcome, no matter how small, no matter how big. Please get involved, donate.
Yeah, especially if you have a spare kidney. But if you don't have one of those, then
I was talking about money, but
that's why I said especially. But you know what? If you don't have a spare kidney, I mean, I feel like everyone should have at least one spare. But if you don't, a little bit of cash is probably going to be all right.
It'll make a big difference. So yeah, please.
Definitely.
Please donate whatever you have if you can. But jumping back into the game, we've just seen Snorlax drop their second game in a row, and it looked like ATK, like I said earlier, have hit their stride a little bit. Coming to the second map, it looked a lot better. They finished with quite a big time bank, and they forced Snorlax onto the back foot here, heading into our third and potentially final map if Snorlax can't pick it up, which is Paris. Now, Paris is a map that is a little bit controversial in many ways because it kind of sucks ass. Complete. Let me rephrase that. It's not most teams' favorite map, but Snorlax, and I think Gutbuster has been quite outspoken in his dislike towards this map. So maybe a bit of a tactical decision from Snorlax Gaming. Of course, Gutbuster, is the manager of ATK. So maybe this ATK, they know ATK hates this map as much as most teams do, and they've decided to put them on the back foot a little bit.
Maybe they just have a really good plan. That's also another one. Like, sometimes you don't pick, more often than not, you pick a map because you're strong on it, rather than because the enemy team isn't as strong on it. So maybe they've got like a really cool strat that they want to show for us. And looking at this defense, okay, Sponge on the Bastion, sure. And the really unfortunate thing is that Bastion can actually get a ton of value on this first point if he sets up in just the right location. And of course, they are running that double shield to keep him alive, and the Batiste as well, gonna have the immortality field and a lot of healing. And Lazy on that Mercy, gonna be able to zip between the high ground and the main tank down on the low ground as well to make sure that everyone stays up. But this offense looks like it could be potent. They've got that Doomfist running in, and of course Wrath on the Echo again, and that could prove to be very, very powerful and possibly a little bit of a challenge here for Sponge.
Could well be. Interesting defense here, actually splitting up the 2 sections, kind of doing a 3-3 defense with the Bastion in the back line and Bandit and 20 and Lazy on the front line, and choosing to run the Mercy behind 20 here instead of behind the Bastion, as we usually see. Snorlax just taking a bit of a slow approach here, Sam. Not quite sure how they want to get in, and admittedly, this is a very difficult comp to push into.
It really is, and they have swapped over onto a Hanzo as well. Oh, nice Fire Strike! Actually denies the raise. That's massive.
Beepo with the boost in there, boops Lazy back and prevents the resurrection from coming through. That is a key play, a small play that makes such a huge difference, preventing the main tank from coming back into the fight. That said, they do have Sigma still, so kind of a secondary main tank here, and 20 finds a return onto Wrath. So trouble here for Snorlax, but Bandit has to come back in on the ball, and he's already down to a sliver of HP.
Oh, and 20 manages to get a nice little grenade or dynamite onto Wayne Train Visions and takes him out of the fight as well. So this could prove very difficult for Snorlax because the rest of the team, to try to get back to their team, it's going to be an uphill battle. This Echo trying to find a way. And of course, Echo can fly, so it might be a little bit easier for her. But for this Zenyatta, it's definitely going to be hard.
Not 12-20 in the game. Wrath struggling to get any value out of the Echo, just getting his head clicked out of the sky. You know, if you can make Echo work in a lot of places, but 20 with another one onto Lonely, it makes it so difficult to play any hero that isn't glued to the ground.
Absolutely. I mean, even heroes that are glued to the ground, right? Then you just throw dynamite at you and you die.
It makes it really hard to play any hero that has a head.
It makes it hard to play the game. Just play Wrecking Ball and sit in your ball for the whole game. You don't have then you don't have a head hitbox anymore. Easy peasy. But he will still get the value because he does have a beautiful little Mercy pocket there to help with tons more damage. Nice.
Oh, no, actually cut off from his team here. He needs to. Okay, yeah. Nice looking Kuma coming back there, buying a little neutral space to move on through, but he just cop a ton of damage. And there is a Bob, and I'm looking down this corridor that 20 is looking down, and I'm thinking Bob looks like a mighty fine option here with ATK or Snorlax moving on through. He's not going to commit it just yet, but again, looking like Bob is a mighty fine option here. Chuck it down the narrow corridor.
Well, Roth is sitting on that replicate as well, but he needs to live to use it. Okay, they do manage to keep him alive. He took a lot of damage there, and I'm really curious to see what he chooses to replicate in this next fight. They are running into a couple of ultimates here, and they don't have time to make something happen. Sponge has to die. Or 20. I mean, somebody got to die.
60 seconds. Oh, speaking of dying, the amp matrix comes down. Nobody dies just yet. That's an Echo. It was briefly a Bastion, but now it is once again an Echo. Sponge deals with that threat in a matter of moments. Bandit finds a kill onto Wayne Train. Sponge picks up his second and third of the team fight. And it looks like back to the drawing board from Snorlax Gaming. And the stopwatch is ticking down. So they got to come up with something super quick.
And this is very reminiscent of that show match we had yesterday between the ATK staff and the COWSA admins. Virgo Liz on that Bastion. I feel like Sponge is channeling his inner Virgo Liz and getting so much value. They haven't made any kind of swap ups here though. 3 ultimates coming into this next fight and only 8 seconds to make something happen.
Well, something is happening here. The dragons come through, but the immortality field, I think, are going to keep them healthy on the high ground. ATK, nothing to worry about just yet. That's how to start coming through. Doesn't find anything. Oh, boots off the point. Sponge, he can't be raised anymore. The shadow comes down. Kumo flying through the sky is going to hit the deck after that. Kills going in both directions, but I think ATK are the ones coming out on top here. No ticks for Snorlax Gaming as Bandit picks up a couple. Boop off the map. Get out of my game. As Bandit picks up the final kill onto Beepo, and a full hold means that Snorlax Gaming can only draw this map. It's not over yet, but Snorlax are in a lot of trouble.
Where's Authorized? We need him to start spamming. I see the draw. I mean, you were asking about full holds on Blizzard World. We're finally making it happen here on Paris. And that was fantastic play. In fact, that self-destruct up into the high corner to deal with Sponge, that would have been so worth if it had actually worked. Because Sponge fell off the map, but ATK still managed to win the fight. And that is devastating for Snorlax. Bearing in mind, this was their map pick. But yet, now they have an opportunity to defend. So maybe we see them come back with just as strong a defense, and that taking us to a tiebreaker. Who knows? Let's take a look at what these teams might be showing for us.
Indeed. So looking at the compositions here, they're actually going to try something that Snorlax started on the side of ATK with Bandit on that ball, Dizzy on the Diva. 20 though, and this is the kind of situation where Sombra makes so much sense. You need one fight with EMP to win the game, and you know, EMP is a spell that can win you one fight. If you had to pick one ability in the game that you're like, I only have one fight to win and I can pick any ultimate, you might pick EMP almost every single time. Sponge,
you know, this isn't Harry Potter, right?
It's a Dota thing. Harry Potter thing.
You know what? It sounds like a Harry Potter thing.
Ability spells, and I played that game for 5 years. So
I'm sorry for your loss. Let's take a look here. We might just see another loss incoming. Maybe Snorlax can pull it out. They do have the Torbjorn and the Doomfist this time around. But again, ATK running that dive composition that paid dividends on Blizzard World. And can they get the same results this time around?
You know, over the course of the series, we haven't seen much adaptation out of Snorlax Gaming. I think they've mostly been sticking to a few of their standard comfortable picks, but Bimbo on the Doomfist here, a little bit of a switch up. Let's see if we can find any value on the punchy man. That's not a good start. 25 that first pick as the turret drops again. You know, the caster curse spoke Bimbo up there as the guy to watch, and immediately he hits the deck as Kumo gets aggressive here on the Reinhardt. Remember, they can't afford to lose a single team fight, and now they're getting manhandled off the point. But Wrath, that might have been the pressure release valve. Finding Squishy on that Ana might give Snorlax the space here to move through, but with the immediate response onto their own Ana, it's all even as they move in. And spawn advantage, remember, does favor ATK as Bandit finds another pick onto Beepo here. This turret, a nuisance of Sponge to deal with, but not much damage coming out, and a very quick ultimate out of Lazy here. Both Lucios, in fact, trading the sound barriers, and Bimbo with a punch
And
again, the slow punch. And Dizzy decides he's going to make this one a little bit harder for ATK.
Bruh. That was looking so close. And that's actually really unfortunate for Dizzy as well, as he is, of course, going to come back into this game with no ult charge, and he's going to have to come back from spawn. But you know what? He can come back from spawn with 20 and Lazy. You know, they can come out as a team because Snorlax has been sending them to the grave. They've actually managed to hold on fairly well here. It was looking like ATK were going to be able to take this first tick very, very early on in the fight, but Snorlax starting to turn this one around. Now, they did have to invest the sound barrier, but it was a good barrier to counter Lazy's barrier. They are going to have a couple of ultimates online coming into the next fight as well. They do have the Earth Shatter, which can, again, deny space, get everybody on their backs, and allow an opportunity to start getting kills, especially if they want to combo that either with the Meteor Strike, which is going to come up soon, or the Molten Core, which is going to come up even sooner. A lot of potential here for Snorlax to maintain a little bit of a hold here. ATK, however, are going to be coming in with a few ultimates of their own. They're going to have... They've got the Dragon Blade, right? And that's basically how they took Blizzard World. I mean, that's...
going forward for Snorlax Gaming here. If we look at, like, what's ATK's whole strategy? It's win one team fight, right? That's what it comes down to. So 20 can build EMP. They can use that in the next team fight. If it works, they win the game. If it doesn't work, they can use the Nano Blade in the next team fight, right? They've got 2.5 minutes here to execute as many fights as they need to get one tick. That's one team fight. Bandit's coming in with his mines as well. They have so many options here, and Snorlax are playing with their backs against the wall at every single turn. It's going to be really difficult, especially given, like you said, that they just committed the sound barrier from Wayne Train. It was a good sound barrier. I agree with you 100%. But you'd love to have that for the upcoming team fight. So we'll have to see how quickly you can build that, especially in response to something like Sponge's Nano Blade. And, you know, 20, of course, with the EMP, might have been looking to use that to get rid of the sound barrier, or at least to hit him with that EMP to prevent him from using it. But now with that out of the equation, he can do whatever he wants. He can hit the Lucio or not hit it, doesn't matter, because he knows that sound barrier won't be available to protect Snorlax Gaming from ATK's push.
But if Wrath is able to get off that Molten Core and deny some space, then even a nano-boosted Genji, if he has to continuously be dashing through the lava, it's going to create a bit of a problem. So they don't have the sound barrier, but if they can get that Molten Core off and position it just right, then they should be able to possibly win out a fight off the back of that. Maybe Kumo can Earth Shatter the ulting Genji, or maybe he can Earth Shatter the EMP before it happens. Who knows? Maybe Little Newt sleeps 20 mid EMP. This is also a possibility. So, I mean, these are slightly harder to pull off than just Wayne clicking Q. But there's definitely some counterplay there, and it's really going to come down to how well Snorlax read this next fight and how well they're able to pull off those countermeasures.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Dizzy here having a little bit of technical issues. I know he's had internet issues historically, and I think he's on the cusp of getting fiber. So he's about to enter the new world of internet usage, and I'm sure he's counting down the minutes. But we are counting down the minutes until he gets back into this game, so we can see the conclusion to this map, because everything is on the line here. Of course, if ATK take this map, they secure the series and punch their ticket to the top of the Overwatch scene in South Africa, they will be numero uno, 3-0ing Snorlax Gaming, 4-0ing 2CP in recent times, this week in fact. In fact, this week they would have beat both of the two other top teams in the country. So really there's no other choice for the best team in the country should they complete the series here. Snorlax Gaming, with it all to do, backs against the wall. They have been full hold already on Paris, so they've got to, full hold themselves and win the tiebreaker just to keep themselves in the series in the first place.
Yeah. But while we do have a little bit of a break here, I think we can probably just take this opportunity to remind everyone why we are here. We're here for the hashtag Kidney for Shaz movement. If you type !donate, you can go ahead and give us all your money. Not us. You can give it to Shaz so that she can help. So that we can help her afford her medical costs, and hopefully once a donor arrives, be able to pay for that operation. It's a fantastic cause for a fantastic human being, and I really think that you guys should be looking into that.
Yeah, please get involved if you can. As I mentioned earlier, donations will be open until the end of the week, so you guys have quite a bit of opportunity. If you're waiting for your ships to come in before you donate, you've got a week to.
Waiting for payday.
Exactly. I don't know when pay. I don't know what day is it today.
It's the 23rd.
Where in life are we? Okay, so payday's tomorrow, guys. So I'm expecting an influx of donations tomorrow.
We're at about I think at last check we were at 86K. Yes. So tomorrow when people get paid, then we just need to go zoom and just completely overshoot the goal. Yeah. Smash it into the ground.
So yeah, like you say, an awesome initiative for an awesome person. So this game is still ongoing. We're still waiting for ThePeachZA. I believe he is back in the mix now. He's
more
not
or less,
in the lobby just yet. So we've pretty much exhausted everything we can talk about in this game and in this team fight. The Soundbar hasn't even worn off on Snorlax Gaming yet. But I think we understand all of the kind of machinations of what's happening here. In the grand scheme of things, though, as I mentioned, ATK, ruling the roost at the moment. Mm-hmm. If they do take this match, Snorlax, a firm second place contender, given that they've 3-0 2CP twice in recent times. So pretty firmly ahead of them. Of course, Snorlax, we haven't mentioned, but our champion of the metal stake, they had a weekend tournament quite recently, and Snorlax took the gold in that. ATK didn't actually take part, so we didn't get to see this matchup there. I think that would have been an awesome finals matchup, but they did take the 3-0 victory over 2CP there. So those are our three top teams in the league, and ATK, they've looked so scary over the past couple of weeks. It's a dominant performance, to say the least.
I mean, even last year, they were looking like one of those top teams. In fact, everybody kind of had their money on ATK to take home the grand finals at the VS LAN at Comic-Con. And Goliath Gaming were able to snake it away from them, and they walked home with the second place. And it happened
in an 8-game series.
Dude, and it happened the previous year as well against Energy Esports. They got into that grand final and just had it snaked away from them. They still haven't been able to net themselves a grand final win. So I think they're looking to try and fix that this year. But that's right. They played in the semi. They played against ATK in the semi.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. So a little unfortunate there, but they're hoping to try and fix that this year. And it looks like Snorlax is going to be...
Champs wasn't at Comic-Con last year. That was the year before.
You know what? I didn't go to Comic-Con last year. I went to the one before that.
I didn't go to Comic-Con last year either, because it wasn't at Comic-Con. And I didn't go to the because we sucked and we didn't qualify. I'm bitter.
I was not in the country at the time.
These memories are burned into my brain. Okay.
You know what? I was in Europe enjoying my life. I'm sorry I don't know what was going on.
Humble.
If you're going to call out my mistakes, I'm going to flex on you. That's how this works.
You know what? I deserve that. I deserve to be ThePeachZA is struggling to get into this game. They said he's logging in at the moment, but my dude's internet is really not cooperating. They do have Gutbuster waiting in the wings in the lobby at the moment, so should they need to, they can sub him in, but Gutbuster is obviously a significant downgrade over ThePeachZA. If he wasn't, they'd be playing Gutbuster instead of ThePeachZA. So I think
significant downgrade. Yes,
he's not a player. He's a manager, Okay,
but he used to be a player. I mean, it's not like he's some scrub off the street.
He's a main support, not an off.
But it's fine. They can make it work. Come on, I believe.
We'll have to see. And they might actually get a sub in. Okay, now they say he's entering, so again, guys, sorry about the delays, but this is South African Overwatch, and I suspect South African esports in general. You just gotta deal.
Be like that.
Gotta deal, you know.
I mean, if anybody was watching the show match yesterday, we had about 6 pauses. It's par for the course. It's not a South African Overwatch game without a couple of pauses.
Exactly. Three is the number. Once you hit 3 pauses, I think we're on 2 at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Once you hit 3, it's a South African game officially. No King Joe in the pool, so that's not a decider anymore. But yeah,
it used to be.
It would be when it's in the pool. Exactly. All the way back to the lofty heights of 2 weeks ago. You know.
Well, what was that? 87.1k, Peach? 87.1k is our current donation total for hashtag kidney for Shaz. So guys, again, !donate. We'll give you those links. Give us your money.
Please do. Give Shaz your money. We won't be taking a dime of that.
Yeah, I ain't touching that money.
Finally back into the game here.
Let's go, dude.
It's been so long since I saw motion in Overwatch, and finally there's some movement here. Snorlax just setting up for the next defense as ATK look to come in with their next attack. Just to remind you, we're looking down the barrel of an EMP. Nano boost on Squishy gets up to his, and the mines. On the other side, Kumo has his Earth Shatter. Wrath with the Molten Core, hoping to counteract some of the ultimates that ATK have to throw at them. But 20 moving in with this EMP, gonna make it difficult. Snorlax to respond. Nothing happening just yet. Okay, getting aggressive now. Mine's in a very interesting position on the inside there. Here comes the Nano Boost. Very aggressive with the EMP. They've decided to commit everything to this one team fight, and so far it's looking like the correct decision. Finally, the EMP wears off, and Rat gets to pop his ultimate, but he also gets popped off the map in the same movement. So the Molten Core making an impact on point, but not in the kill feed. The Sponge finds the last pick onto Bumbo. There'll be a Hail Mary defense here from Kumo on the point, on the ball, but with that, ATK will secure themselves a 3-0 victory off the Snorlax Gaming, and after a 5-minute pause, we get 1 minute of action.
And then you get to see our lovely faces again in just a moment. We'll watch this play of the game from Sponge. I think it was well deserved there. It's kind of exactly as we called it, the EMP Nano Blade. It's such a powerful tactic. We often see it on these 1-point holds where you just have to get that one little tick. And there you can see it worked out so well for them. And unfortunately, you know, Torbjorn not able to dodge that EMP, which meant that he wasn't able to drop the Molten Core in time to defend his team. It did come out after 1 kill, but at that point, the team was so split up. Sponge didn't even have to touch the point in order to kill half the team. And a nice, solid, very, very convincing victory for ATK.
Absolutely super convincing, and like we mentioned the kind of permutations there, and that puts them right at the tippy top of the league standings, at the tippy top of the Overwatch League in South Africa, Overwatch play in South Africa in general. And they did that in pretty dominant fashion. They kind of ramped up their performance as the match went on. They started a bit shaky on Nepal, but Blizzard World looked a lot better, and they looked totally dominant on Paris. So really impressive performance once again from ATK. But before we end things here this evening, Naori, you have to give me a player of the match.
That's a tough one, I gotta be honest. I felt like, I mean, the synergy between these players was so good. No one really kind of had those massive pop-off moments. But I think this time around, I'm gonna give it to Bandit. I feel like he caused a lot of chaos on that Wrecking Ball. He got some fantastic boops. The space denial with his mines was also phenomenal, particularly on Nepal a little bit earlier on. I think he did some really great work for his team. So this time around, I'm going to have some main tank love.
Awesome. I think another potential pick for that would have been 20.
Oh yeah, but that was the obvious choice. Come on.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you. Give a bit of main tank louder. We can't give 20 player of the match every single match. Squishy's been quite a popular one as well. He played well in this match, but so often doesn't get the chance to shine on the Mercy as you'd expect. But I agree with you. Bandit always a stand-up performer for ATK and did his job pretty well in a match where nobody really stood out. I agree with you there. So we will be getting an interview with Bandit here before we sign off. to drop down here and check with him. Yes, he is there. So let's chat to Bandit. All right. Welcome and congratulations, Bandit. Oh, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Hello?
Is this thing on?
It's always on by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's got like a big green circle around his profile picture. Oh, he left. Is he back?
He's back?
Bandit?
We still cannot hear you, Bandit.
Hello? Is it me?
So
you're
we're just
looking
struggling
for?
to get Bandit to communicate with us. He's giving us a bit of a cold shoulder as it stands, but I'll talk. You can hear me, I'm sure, Bandit. Congratulations on a pretty dominant victory over Snorlax Gaming. Looked shaky in the start, but quite a strong performance after that. So congrats to Bandit, main tank player for ATK. And while we wait for Bandit, we're going to remind you one...
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Now we can hear
My
you.
Discord just died on me. Hello.
You know what? It be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, Bandit, I'll say it again now that you can respond. Congratulations for the victory here over Snorlax Gaming. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm pretty excited at the moment. I'm still like a bit of got that adrenaline going, you know. But
Awesome.
yeah, we're calming down now.
Well, don't calm down on our account. Please be excited. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That's such a
so
typical South
excited.
African
It's
thing.
It's so
True.
So talk to us a little bit about this game coming in. Obviously, Snorlax is the de facto top team if you guys weren't the top team, you know, firmly in second place until we saw this matchup. So talk to us a little bit about how you guys prepared coming into this and how you felt Snorlax Gaming were gonna, how much of a fight you thought they were gonna put up.
I definitely think we were a bit like, we didn't really know much because we haven't seen any of their gameplay or anything like that. And it's been a while since we played them, and especially as a team, we haven't seen what they're capable of. So we were kind of like, we didn't know at what level they were at and at what level, you know, what we should be expecting and things like that. But before the match, we were very confident, you know, we were very like motivated and we were just there to win. You know, we were all in that mindset of we're going to win this, we're going to play our game and let's go, you know?
Yeah, and it paid off dividends there, Nori?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you guys are undefeated. You've dropped a whole one map. At this point, is there anyone that you're really nervous to play against, or are you guys just kind of cakewalking this whole ZA Overwatch scene?
I mean, I definitely think it's something that we're going to keep on getting better because, I mean, we're scrimming a lot. We just want to get better and better and better. And then I definitely think like teams will evolve as it goes on, as this is only our first time encountering them. You know, like maybe later on again, we'll encounter them again and then they might be better then and things like that. So I think at the moment, we more take like every game seriously just because we never know like what people have adapted to or things like that. So
It's a good mindset. It's a really good mindset.
Yeah, very good mindset. So, yeah, I mean, there's really not that much to ask about this match. Snorlax Gaming, you guys have been so dominant. Talk to us a little bit about the kind of practice and preparation you guys have been putting through in general, because it seems to me, at least from the outside, like you guys are one of the more hardworking teams. So how much do you guys practice and scrim?
We scrum 6 days a week, and we have coaching sessions and stuff within that. But yeah, we scrum every day besides Fridays. Obviously, if we have a match on some days, then we won't scrum that evening. But yeah, and then we've also got we also got a very good like management staff. Yeah. But we also got like a really good management staff and coaching staff for us, which is also really helpful, and it just like rapidly like improves us rapidly, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's showing. You guys look unstoppable, and you are, you know, you haven't been stopped, and you're not looking like anybody's gonna stop. I'm terrified to watch you guys play in the future, and I'm glad I don't have to play against you. That's
I mean, what I must say is, you know, ATK was kind of looking like this. And of course, this is, I believe, before you joined the team, but this is more of a general comment about ATK and their strengths. And they were looking pretty much close to this good last year. Not quite this good, but there or thereabouts. And everyone, as I mentioned during the broadcast, you know, favored them to win out at champs. And then, of course, we had Goliath Gaming come out of nowhere and yoink that away from them. So I just wanted to say, like, I feel like your mindset of taking every game as it comes and not underestimating your opponent, no matter who it may be, just making sure that you think about what they might have learned from the last match and not allowing yourselves to get overconfident, because I mean, I imagine you guys are going for the champion spot this time. I'm not crazy, right?
Yeah,
like that is the plan. Yeah, that makes sense. So if that's what you're trying to do, then you definitely don't want to lose sight of the fact that teams can actually
6 times a
lose.
week, Sam.
You know what? Maybe this is just their hobby, okay? Maybe they really like Overwatch, son.
I mean, ATK helps it a lot. Like, just having ATK as an org is just very helpful, especially with just like keeping up motivation and like just having these things that, like, for instance, we can get coaching, we can get management staff. You know, it just makes everything easier, I guess.
Awesome. So the stars have aligned here in a lot of ways. Bandit, ATK player, you of course streamed in service of this Kidney for Shares initiative yesterday. So it all lines up nicely as we can be the last scheduled broadcast for the Kidney for Shares initiative, the fundraising initiative. So last time we'll remind you guys of what all of that is. Shaz, CSGO player for ATK, of course, diagnosed with lupus at a very young age, and that's caused kidney failure, and she's in need of a kidney transplant. So all of this we've done this week, you know, besides the ATK Overwatch tournament in general, most of the streaming done on the ATK channel has been towards the Shaz, Kidney for Shaz initiative fundraising. We need 100,000 for that. We're looking to raise 100,000 for that. And at last count, we were at about 87,000 Rand towards that goal. So please, donations will be open until the end of the week, I believe, and there'll be a few more streams happening here and there. But this is the last, probably the last big stream. So we thanks to you guys for joining us throughout the weekend and today especially. We look forward to continuing the Overwatch by ATK tournament, of course, and maybe more fundraisers and stuff in the future. So that does bring us to the end of our broadcast, but of course, the last thing we always do before we go away is find out where we can find all the wonderful people involved in the broadcast today. So we'll start, of course, with Bandit. If we want to keep up with you, Bandit, where can we find you on the internet?
So you can find my Twitter at bandit_OW. Or if you want to watch me stream, which I'll be doing more occasionally now, will be at ZA_bandit.
Awesome. So for some stellar South African ball play, that's the place to tune in.
Yes.
Nori, where can we find you? Remind us once again.
If I'm on a social media platform, you'll find me at NaoriMizuki. If you don't find me, I'm not on that platform.
Awesome. Peach has been handling our production as he so often does, and that's at ThePeachZA on Twitter and on Twitch. He does stream occasionally. He streamed our show match yesterday. If you want to see the behind the scenes of that, and hear me shouting profanities at the ATK staff. My name is SunPheonyx at SunPheonyx on Twitter, SunPheonyx. I don't stream because Peach streams, so only one of us can stream because the world couldn't handle both of us streaming at once. And that was the Overwatch by ATK tournament. ATK taking a stellar 3-0 victory. Looking forward to the future. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Rhino water, death designer, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.